Spotlight artist is always interesting because we learn about the people and the things they do, our membership. So let me present Wendy.
Okay, I'm here to share with you the magic, I hope, of the iPad. So first question I'm curious about is, do you all have iPads? Pretty much everybody has one. Has anybody used it to make art? Okay. Anybody specifically using Procreate? 4 people. Okay. Are you pretty comfortable with it? Not at all. Okay. So, I'm going to start from the beginning. So hopefully I won't overwhelm, but if it gets overwhelming, I can slow down. Just let me know. I'm happy to answer questions as we go because there's some concepts that you may or may not be familiar with. So I have little handouts here. I've only got 20 and we're pretty close. So I don't know if we can hand out. And this isn't really necessarily to follow along with right now, but maybe when you take it home and you get your iPad out, you can follow along and get something done. Okay, so I am in the way. Okay. One of the first things is all the hardware stuff. I'm going to go really quick, but you need the Apple iPad. There are a billion models. And you need a pencil. And as of Tuesday, this past week, Apple announced a 4th generation of pencil. So this is an Apple pencil. So there's 4 different kinds. And you got to match the right pencil to the right iPad. Not every pencil works with every iPad. So if you don't have a pencil yet, double check, go to the Apple store, look it up online, however you need to, and make sure you match the pencil to the iPad. Yeah.
Does that mean matching it to the generation?
Yes. Yes. And there's iPads, iPad Airs, minis. So not all of them work the same. And earlier generations, you need the first pencil, but then it changed. And the way it charges is different. These pencils, the first one is this round tipped one with the silver band. And you pull off the cap and you stick it into the side of the charging port on the iPad. That's how that charges. But now they're magnetic. So the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th are flat and they're magnetic and they stick onto the iPad and that charges it. Yeah. So if your iPad is modern enough to use the newer pencil, it's way easier. This way. Okay. And yes, go ahead. Yeah.
But how much is pencils cost?
$129. They're not 129. So I'm going to go, there's 99, 129, 79, 129. The one you want is probably going to be the 129 one. I'm going to go back to these pictures. This one is, they named them all weird. Don't ask me why. But this is the first one. Hopefully you're more modern enough that you don't have this pencil. It works, it's fine, but it's awkward because it sticks out of the iPad when you charge it. It's like this, and a lot of people break them. Like this. Yes, and it's easy to break because it's the charging port out of the side. The new ones are magnetic. Yeah, and it fits in your bag. It's very sleek.
They
Yes.
do have an adapter to this,
Yes.
so that you can charge it out of the wall.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay, so 2nd gen is what I have here. Then it came out with this one, and then last Tuesday, they came out with this one. This one is probably the most popular, and here's a big deal between this one and this one. A lot of people go and they buy the USB-C 3rd generation pencil. It doesn't have pressure sensitivity. So you don't want to get that pencil. It's going to be tempting because it's like, it's only $79 instead of $129. Yeah, but it doesn't work for an artist. So even though that price looks nice, third gen, don't get that one. So this one just came out. Same price as this one, which is the one I have, which works great. It's got some extra features in it. You can press it and it has haptics feedback and a couple other things about it. But the trick with this one, because it's Apple, it only works with a brand new iPad, which just came out on Tuesday too. And those are expensive, but they're beautiful and they have a new OLED screen. They're gorgeous. But if you've got an older iPad, don't get the brand new pencil. Yeah. So before you buy, probably go to the Apple store and confirm, which pencil I'm getting. So there's the first gen, a lot of buzzwords on it, but the charging is the weird part about it. But if you got an older iPad, that might be the pencil. This is the second gen one. So when I have, it does have pressure sensitivity and you can double tap it and you get a different tool depending on what app you're in and how you set it up. So there's a little bit of extra in there. None of them have flip it over and use it as an eraser, unfortunately. A lot of people like that because some pencils do that. And there are third-party companies making pencils for the iPad. But as far as I know, none of them are pressure sensitivity. They don't have the push hard and the stroke bits wider. And a lot of them are for journaling. So it's easier to write with. It's got a little more like a pencil tip on it, maybe a little thinner, might be a different shape, feels good in the hand, but it's more for journaling, writing text on the screen, not so much drawing and painting. But I would not get any third-party Apple similar pencil. Just get an Apple one, get the right one, and don't get that one. Because it doesn't have pressure sensitivity, and that's exactly what you need. That's what makes it so cool. The fourth one, that. Okay, so I would say these are the top 3 drawing apps on an iPad. We're going to talk about Procreate. It costs $13 in the App Store. So it's downloading it just like any other app on your phone. So if you've ever downloaded an app, you got to get your Apple ID and all that nonsense. It's the same exact thing, Procreate. However, just to confuse you, Procreate came out with a second program that looks very similar to this. It's called Procreate Dreams. Don't get that one. Make sure you get Procreate with the little swish on it. Procreate Dreams is for animators. It's awesome if you want to do animation. And you can take all your drawings and whatever and move it around and animate it. I used to be an animator, and it's super awesome. So anyway, but that's Procreate Dreams is the animation one. Regular old Procreate is the one you guys want, the drawing, painting one. The other one is Adobe. Adobe makes Photoshop, Illustrator. You might have heard of them. They have an app. It's free, so I would highly recommend using this one. Again, download it from the App Store, same as any other app. It's called Fresco, drawing and painting app. And one of the cool things about Fresco, it's newer, so it doesn't have maybe the depth of the features that Procreate has because it's been out longer. However, there's some good stuff in Fresco. I like it better. I'm using it more than Procreate at the moment because of a couple of reasons. One is when you save a file out of these apps, if I am on my iPad in Procreate and I save my file, where did it go? It went to my iPad. So if I have a second iPad, or I want to go work on it on my computer, or, oh, I lose my iPad, you lost your file. And you can't get the file over here unless there are ways, but the file exists on your iPad. You lose your iPad, you lose all your artwork.
Oh, you have to go to the cloud.
You can, but that's another step. Fresco automatically goes to the cloud. And I can have the same drawing on any iPad, any device, any phone. It's in the cloud. If I lose my iPad, it doesn't matter. It's safe out there in Wizardland. The other thing about Fresco, and I can show you if you want to see it because it's actually very cool. besides it being free. It's got 3 different modes, unlike Procreate. Fresco, you can draw in Procreate and Fresco. You can draw in raster mode, which is you're just drawing pixels on a screen. The resolution of that image is based on the resolution of the canvas that you choose from the beginning, okay? If you scale it up, it gets blurry. So you gotta figure out how big you need it to be at the end of the day, okay? Another mode of drawing is vector. It's a little bit of math, but it's scalable. It's infinitely scalable. Whatever you draw, you can make a coaster on the side of a building if you want with the same file. It's not pixelated as you scale it up. So Fresco can draw like that. Procreate cannot. The other thing about Fresco is it has what Adobe calls live brushes. And live brushes are, they defined it into 2 categories. Oil paint, which has depth, and it looks like it's 3D and it's gooey, like oil paint. And the other one is watercolor, which I will show you if you want to see it. It's cool. And it's like the paper is wet. You draw and it spreads. So Procreate doesn't have that. Procreate has watercolor brushes, but like if you've tried them, it's like, you call that watercolor? It's more like just pastel almost. Yeah. With fuzzy edges. Yeah. So I don't know who's working on the watercolor there, but anyway, and there's another one from Affinity. It's called Designer. It's also very good. And again, it draws like the 3 different modes like Fresco. So Procreate's the most basic, most popular by far for most artists. They use Procreate because it's been around longer as well. But so we can get Procreate. Okay, here's the Procreate Dreams thing. They made them really similar. This is the animation one. Don't get it unless you want to do animation. You want that one. So they look really similar, just to confuse people. All right, does anybody want to open Procreate and do this? We can. Yeah? Okay. All right, so I can go to Procreate here, right? Okay, mine's gonna look different than yours because I have a lot of artwork. So if you open the app Procreate, right, which is this guy, right? We're gonna do that. You're gonna be in what's called your gallery. The gallery is all the artwork you've ever done, all in a little list. You can make stacks, put them together and make, stack is basically a folder that contains multiple files, right? So these are all the ones I've played around with, and there's lots, and it goes on and on and on. And a stack looks like, you know, this, like it looks like a pile. So anyway.
Before you go,
Yep.
if you switch iPads now, you buy yourself a new iPad, you download Procreate, or can you copy what's on the old iPad to the new iPad, and does it print?
The file type is the same. Either one made in Procreate, same file type. However, the location of them is different. I'd have to save this, mail it to myself.
So it's not easily print.
No, not really. No.
Once you start putting art on this, you almost always have to either keep this to keep your art.
Yes. I mean, you can back it up and save it, and there's other ways to get it off. But in general, the iPad you drew it on is where it lives. Yeah.
It's like your external hard drive.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you lose that, it's gone. Okay. Okay. So this is the interface of Procreate. And I don't have any of the handouts, but there's one. Okay. On the handout, I found this little chart here. I don't have it on here, but this is the same thing you're looking at right now. So there's a menu bar up here, and then there's sliders here. Mine are on the right side because I'm a lefty, but you can switch them and put them over. I think by default they come up on this side. So don't worry that this is here, not there. It's the same thing. So let's just draw something. So I'm in here. It's a blank canvas. Let me go back, and I'm in it. I want to get out of it. Okay. Just so I can show you how to go back and forth. So you tap gallery and you're back into your gallery. So when you open Procreate, you're always here in the gallery. To go in, you tap on one you've already started, or you make a new one with a plus sign. Okay. So if I want to make a new one, tapping on the plus, new canvas menu, you pick a size. These are all resolutions, dots, per inch, DPI. You can do pixels, inches, whatever. I would say to get going, just pick your screen size. It's a good enough resolution for most things, and especially when you're beginning and you're playing around and you don't really know what you're going to do yet. That's a good size to start with.
I forgot what you said. Is this vector?
No, raster. Illustrator kind of stuff is vector. Yes, and typically 300 DPI, 300 dots per inch is the resolution if you're going to go print somewhere, do something nice, or an art card, or a print you want to sell on your Etsy shop or whatever, you're going to be at 300 dots per inch. I can show you some stuff over here. I did some drawings and blah, 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 and I wanted to make fabric. That's kind of what I'm doing right now. So I'll draw it on here. Resolution is 350. I bring it over to a company called spoonflower.com. They print fabric. So these are just drawings I have, and I made fabric out of them for a certain project. So this is for a bird thing. Those are wings. And then different pattern, little trim pattern. Everything's in repeat, so it goes on forever. And then the way I paint is I usually paint in separate icons. So I'll paint this flower separate than this one. Everyone's different. And then I put them together later in Illustrator to make designs and repeat in all directions so I can make fabric. So that's all this. Yeah. Spoonflower.com prints it for you. So you just upload your file. They wanted 150 DPI, but I would still recommend making it in 300. You can always scale it down. But if you ever you realize, oh, I drew it too small, I want it bigger, it's hard to scale it up if it's low res. So you want to just stick with 300 DPI. And like this one, this can be confusing. The screen size, this is pixels. It doesn't say DPI, right? So how do you know what DPI that is? How big is that file? You know, what is 2100 pixels? How big is that? Depends on your dots per inch. It's all relative. So this is a little math and then I'll stop. But if you have 2100 pixels across and you're doing 300 dots per inch, that's 7 inches. 300 into 2100 is 7. So divided by 300, and that's how many inches you have, right? So this is 2048, almost 2100, so that's 7 inches. So, you know, it's 9 by 7 sort of. So that's pretty good. Anyway, that's enough math.
What file format do you send to Spoonflower? Is it?
I think I upload JPEGs. Yeah. If I recall, I haven't done it in a while. And I think they want RGB, not CMYK.
What do you hope to do with your fabric?
I made a little career shift when I moved to Vegas 3 years ago. I was an animator at the studios, and then I worked at Apple for a while. And then family members got very sick, so I had to stop working. And while I was sort of recovering from all of that, because that was exhausting, as a hobby to save my mental sanity, sitting in hospitals all the time, very hard. I'm sure people have, you know, everyone's had their time. To keep my sanity, I decided I would look back and figure out what used to make me happy. And I went back to childhood sort of and went, I used to like to sew. So I went to the sewing machine, Joann's, right? And they have inside Joann's is a Husqvarna Viking sewing machine store. And I went in there and I said, I'd like to get a sewing machine. And I haven't sewn in, 30 years or whatever. And I don't know what's going on. So show me some sewing machines. So they're showing me little beginner sewing machines, which look perfectly fine. But I hear this noise across the store. and it's an embroidery machine, and it's stitching out pictures and flowers. And I'm like, by itself, nobody's even there. And I'm like, what is that magic going on over here? And they're like, that's an embroidery machine. Oh, you don't want that. And I'm like, oh, really? Oh, really? So we go over there, and I said, that's amazing. Tell me more. And then they said, oh, well, you know, it's really hard. You got to have software. I'm like, I'm a nerd. This is perfect. Give me the software. Like, it's kind of expensive. You know, it's really hard. And there's 3 different levels of it. I'm like, what's the one that lets me draw my own drawings and turn it into stitches and have that thing stitch it out? And they're like, oh, that's the fancy one. Sold. So I got the fancy machine, this fancy software, but a used embroidery machine. And when I'm sitting in the hospital, in the waiting rooms, in the surgery rooms, whatever, I had my laptop and I was learning the embroidery software. So, and I got so into it, because I'm a nerd, that I turned it into a little business for a while. So that's what this stuff is. I'll show you this now since we're there. So I was turning my own drawings into stitches. So this is one of my sketches, and it's a pillowcase. I don't have the pillow in it, obviously, but anyway, so I did my little drawings in Procreate and did the bird and the whole thing. And then I'll put it into the embroidery software, which I have to digitize it, convert it into stitches by hand, so it's a little tricky. And then I stitch it out on my embroidery machine. And then I sew it up and make pillows or whatever. So I started doing that, and then that turned into a little business for a while until COVID hit, where I was taking children's drawings, because it was like, you know, when you start a new business, they usually say, like, what is the problem you're going to solve, right? So I'm like, I'm going to solve, what do people do with their kids' drawings? Because I have all these parents, they have boxes of drawings, they don't know what to do with them, but they're not going to throw them away. They cherish them. They're beautiful. They're unique, amazing stuff, right? So people stuff them in the closet. They put them under the bed. And I'm like, no, let's get them out. So I practice with my neighbors and, you know, look through your drawings, see if there's anything that, you know, a drawing that you particularly want to save. You know, you can't keep it on their fridge forever. And so I got some drawings. So these are the drawings from the kid. I don't know if you can see them. They're little fish. Yeah. Okay. And so I converted the drawing into embroidery. And so I made little clothes. Oh. So these are the embroidered fish. This one's there. And then, so I gave that, you know, to the family. And then I get a call like, Grandma saw that and her living room's blue. Could you make one in blue? And then Aunt Betty saw one, and she's more neutral. Can you make one in neutral colors? So I kind of turned into a business. So this is, you know, the neutral one for the living room. And I thought, this is perfect because I want adults to have their childhood spirit in their adult spaces. It doesn't have to always be fluorescent orange and blue and Legos, you know? So anyway, so I made different colors. You can make any color you want because all you have to do, it's the same file. It's just pick a different thread color. So here's another one. Here's a wacky kids drawing. I think that's amazing, right? And then there's a cat from the same little girl, which she got a red star on her drawing. And then she had a butterfly, and so I turned it into that. Yeah, and so yeah, so that was a little business. And then just for nutty stuff, I wanted to make, since I do 3D, I just do 3D modeling and special effects in movies, and I like 3D. So I wanted to just test myself. Can I make this, which is so flat, into a doll or something? I don't know what. So anyway, so I started making these Ruby dolls. They're ridiculous. They got pins and everything. And they have all these silly icons, but I wanted to, like, you know, practice my sewing and can I do the embroidery and line it up right? And for a while I had an Etsy shop where you could buy the pattern and you make your own doll. So there's that. And then COVID hit, and so I made one with a mask. And they sold quite a bit. It's got a medical thing here. It says coronavirus 2020. It's got a mask. It's got a bone. He's got a shot. COVID-19. It says 6 feet back here. Anyway, so totally ridiculous. But yeah. So what that has to do with Procreate, I'm not really sure. And then, also, just by the way, about the fabric thing. I made tags for the dolls, so I just stitched out the tags. And then I sew them together and attach it to the doll. So anyway, for fabric. And Spoonflower also does wallpaper. So when I got here, I have steps, and it's got a Spanish influence in it, and I wanted risers, but to look like Spanish tile. But I couldn't find any tile I like, so I'm like, I'm gonna make my own. So I did, and I have a whole bunch, but this is just one sample. And this is removable wallpaper, Spoonflower makes. So I can just stick this on my riser, I measure the height, and I print yards of it in strips. And then I just cut it out and stick it on my stairs. And if I get sick of it or I change my design, I can peel it off. So this is removable wallpaper from Spoonflower. We'll stick it out. Spoonflower, yeah. Spoon like spoon and flower.com. Anyway, okay, so let's go back to Procreate. Okay, so I have my 2nd gen Apple Pencil, and I'm gonna make a new canvas, right? So I'm hitting the plus sign up there. Can you see me do this? I'm picking screen size. Wait, sorry. It's connected to my other one. Okay. All right, so this is a canvas. A couple things about gesturing in Procreate. This, when you open up, the paper is full screen. And I'm gonna pinch, 2 fingers, just pinch, and I'm zooming out, okay? If I turn my hand, I'm flipping it around. So you can draw at any angle, which is really nice as an artist. You know, you want the certain angle to get the right stroke. The other thing about drawing on an iPad that I find sort of annoying, portability is awesome, but sometimes I'm drawing and my hand is off the edge and it's hard to draw. And you can only kind of use the middle of the screen because you have to rest your hand on it. Well, the board that I've got here, I just wanted to show you this because I think it's really cool. It's called Sketchboard Pro. They have different inserts to fit every kind of iPad size. And you can rest your hand on it. And when you draw, you can keep going. You know what I mean? So this thing's cool. Sketch. God bless my voice. Board. Okay. Yikes. Okay, pinching, rotating. What do you got? Oh, I'll take it. What happened? Okay, menus. All right. The blue paintbrush up there is where you get your brush. I have something, you can install other third-party brushes. So I've got more brushes than what came with. But there's hundreds of brushes that come with this thing out of the box. You don't need to add anything. There's something in there for everybody. If you just want to sketch, I want to do a pencil sketch like I do in the traditional way. Go into this sketching category. So whatever's blue is what your category you're in. And the list, I'm swiping up and down. There's a long list of options. So I'm going to pick 6B pencil. You just tap on it. I want to make this menu go away. So I'm going to tap on the screen. Done. I want to draw in black, like a regular pencil. So see the pink dot up there? That's where you pick your color. I'm going to tap on that. You get a color wheel. Does everybody know how to use this wheel? Or no? What? Use this color wheel. It's because it might not be obvious. Okay. There's an outer ring and then the inner bit, right? The hue, the color, the hue, is the outer ring. What color do I want? I want red, I want pink, I want blue, right? The dot in the middle circle is the value, right? I want dark, light, more saturated, less saturated. So the color where this dot is the color you're ultimately picking. I can still pick the same, not move the inside dot and just move the outside dot. And I have that same value and hue and tone, but a different hue, okay? So there's two pieces to picking your color. And the two boxes up there, the one on the left is the color you're picking right now, okay? And it's also updating the dot on the corner. So I'm gonna pick blue. And kind of saturated blue. There you go. So I picked this blue color. I like it. And I want to make that go away. So again, just tap once on the paper screen, right? And then the brush I have the 6B pencil, so I can draw. And if I press light, I get a light sketchy mark, right? If I press hard, it's a little bit wider, it's a little darker, draw whatever I want, right? I want to change my color, tap on the blue button. I want this and I want this. Tap, boom. Okay. Sounds pretty easy. This is a mess. I want to get rid of it. So 2 fingers, tap, 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 tap. It goes back, undoes every step. A step is considered if you lift your pencil, you draw, you lift your pencil, that's a step. You do it again, that's a second step. So every time you lift your pencil. So there you go. So that's color and brushes.
Can you skip a step? You want to keep one?
No, it's in order. Draw, 2 fingers, undo. Trying to figure out what to show you next. Okay. Let's look at.
Make that line
Oh yeah, let me try this. Okay.
on the side, you make it different.
This slider here is size. Pencil I know so big, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get a different brush. I'm gonna go to maybe painting. So many. Make it darker color. So this is slider here is the size. Right? And I'm pushing harder, more solid, pushing lighter. And it depends on the brush. Sometimes you push harder, it gets darker and wider. Sometimes it just gets darker. So depends on the brush. They're all. And the other thing about the brushes, just to overwhelm you, is if I tap on this, right now I'm using wet acrylic. If I tap on it again, you might see this. This is Brush Studio where you can adjust all of these things about your brush. It's overwhelming and you can make your own brush. So if you really get into it, you know, rabbit hole. Say again? There's a category of watercolor brushes, and just what they look like. Okay. Try sponge. Glaze. The light and dark. Wash. So I don't know. And then they have these, some of these are like stamp brushes. You can just stamp on a block, like an ink blot. These are like flicks. You can paint with them. Or just.
Am I adjusting the size? I did adjust the size.
Yep. Now they're big. And then If you want to erase all of it all at once instead of stepping back, take 3 fingers and just scrub it. Just wipes it away. There's a big, so that is blotch, and then there's drip. It's all the same. So not really. Not in here. Fresco. You could select it and scale it. You know. But not really. You can make your own brushes. So you're asking, can I put this splotch, be different shapes, longer, whatever. If you paint something on here, I don't know, you scan it in, which I can go through that process because that's what these are, and make your own and turn it into a brush. And then you got your own splat, not this splat, right?
Do you have any idea what David Hockney is using? I know he's doing so much.
I know. Would bet that he is. How could you not, you know? Just think what, you know, Monet or whoever would do with this. The thought. Okay, so here's another concept that is digital and not traditional. There is a concept of layers. Does everybody know what that means? Yeah. Okay. So the double boxes up there, that's where you get your layer panel. Yeah. And it's, you know, it's like clear stacks of images, one on top of the others. Layer 1, layer 2, layer 3. Okay. And wherever you don't paint, it's transparent. So you're seeing through to the layer below. Okay. So Procreate gives you a background color in white. You can have it be any color you want. I'm going to leave it alone. It's white. You can change it if you want to, but it also comes with layer 1. So, I don't know. Let's do layer 1, and then I do this. I'm going to pick a different color. And then I do this. And I'm like, oh, I wanted that behind it. Because right now it's all in the same layer. And I can't, they're not apart. I drew on top of the purple, right? I replaced the purple with the red dots. So I'm going to erase that. And if I add another layer, right, now I do the same thing. I can turn them on and off. They're separate. And they don't affect each other. They just lay on top of each other. So when I'm sketching, I'll do my, oh geez, too many brushes. Sketching, 6B pencil. Let's say I do it in black. And I'm, you know, drawing flower, and I'm doing my thing, and I got a thing. Okay, there's my flower. And then I'm like, okay, that's really rough. I want to tighten it up a little bit. I'm going to add another layer. I might pick blue just because it's different. And then I want to maybe tighten this drawing up. I'll show you that in a minute. And I want to really get in there, and I want to fix it and do this. And I'm, you know, fine tuning the drawing. It's really horrendous right now, but whatever. Okay. All right, so there it is. Now I can take this one and this little check mark on the right of the layer, make it go away. So there's my fixed up drawing, right? So I started loose, and you can get tighter and, you know, clean it up as you go and really get in there and noodle it around. Also, I'm going to add a layer, and I want to start filling in the petals. So I'm going to pick a brush, drawing. Sure, straight up. Oh, let's do this one. That one's cool. All right. And I'm going to, what layer I'm on. So this is, and I'm going to rename this layer 1. So I double tap on it, and I can hit rename, and I'm going to say sketch. I can't spell sketch. And then layer 3 is going to be rename it, the petals, let's say. And then I'm going to add another layer, and that's going to be, rename it. I'm going to say that's the leaves or whatever, right? So I got the sketch, and I'm going to do the petals. I'm going to do the petals in gold. All right, so I got a new brush. I'm going to make it bigger. Okay. Go. The brush. All right, whatever. There's my petals. It's like, oh, I can't see my line anymore. I covered it up. So my layers are wrong. So I got the drawing on the black pencil underneath and the color on top. I want to swap them, right? So sketch layer, tap and hold, just drag it up or not. Ugh. There we go. Oh, God. Get it going.
Bring pedal down.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. I guess either way, whatever. So the line now, it's the sketch is on top, right? So I swapped them. That's that one way. That's the other way, right? So that's layers. Matters what's on top. And if I want to do leaves, and I got green in here. Don't want that leaf in front or in back, right? I want it below. God, can I drag up? So now the green is behind that petal. So that's layers. So you got to keep track of what you're doing. And if I drew the green layer on the yellow petal on the same layer, and I didn't realize I did that, I can't go back later and undo it, especially after I've closed it out and come back the next day. So you got to kind of think in layers. It's not this. You know, like this is all one layer, right? That's how we paint, but this can be different. So if you can get your organizational brain on while we're doing this, it'll help a lot. So one of the things also I do a lot with this is I'll just do the pencil sketch. So I have the sketch because I want to paint it on real paper. I'm not going to watercolor paint in here because it doesn't look like watercolor paint. So for me to get this out of here and onto my watercolor paper, you got to save it and then you're going to print it. And there's a couple tricks with printing, which I will share. So I'm going to hit this gallery up in the upper left. That gets me back to my gallery. The minute I do that, I've saved the file, right? I tap it to open it, gallery, it saves it. So if I'm in the file and I hit this gear, the second one over, this is where I can share it. And I want to share, let's say a JPEG, okay? And then where do I want to save it to? I can print it right now from this menu. I usually save image partway down because I want to put it in my photo library.
So you save it to it.
You can do two things. So at this point, you're still in Procreate. Did you get the share part? You're in Procreate on your canvas. You go to the wrench.
Okay.
Yep.
No, but I should go back to gallery.
Nope, go back into your painting.
I'm at gallery. Go on my image.
It's the picture you want to print open. Okay. And then you hit this wrench.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
I'm gonna share.
And then share. And then pick JPEG, it's fine. JPEG or PNG. Okay, you get a pop-up menu like this. And right here, you can do two
I
things.
can send to,
You can print it right now,
well, I can save to files or I can send it.
and you can save image. If you save image, it goes in your photo library.
Can you send that to your computer?
Say again?
Can you send this image to your computer? Yeah, you can send it,
Yes.
you can email it to.
Yeah, you can send and message it to somebody and all sorts of things.
So if you do your final drawing, you can send it to your computer, to that? Yeah, you have to email it.
If you have, like, do you know what Dropbox is? if you have a cloud service out there, you can send it to your cloud,
Right.
and then
Okay, so
your
that
computer
way-
talks to your cloud.
That way you could save it instead of having it on the, okay.
Yeah, but what you're saving is not the Procreate drawing file with the layers. You're saving the flattened image.
No, I'm, yeah,
Yeah. So there's the working Procreate file
right,
that only Procreate can read in its custom format with layers.
okay,
And then if you share it with the little box with the arrow flying out, that's a flattened version, JPEG, like a photograph.
okay.
And that's different. That's like you printed it out of Procreate, but you can't work on it. If you open that,
You can print
but you can print
if
it,
you want to print.
yes.
Yes. If I take screen size and I print, what am I trying to do?
It's sort of relative, but when you go to print it,
Then I print it.
it depends on your printer. Your printer's gonna say scale to fit, then it's 8.5 by 11-ish. Yeah.
And when you said 300 DPI, that's what you really want. Your sketches don't have to be.
No, they don't.
They can
No.
just be, and they don't necessarily even have to be very.
Right. And I think I have some here. Okay, so this is, I drew these in Procreate with the pencil. It's hard to see them, they're not very bright, but it's a skirt. Anyway, I ended up painting it, right? So I printed it out of Procreate. Those are pencil drawings done in Procreate. I printed out and then I printed it out to watercolor paper in my printer. So I put my watercolor paper through my printer, and I've named them. This is Ecoline. This is 20% Fabriano. You know, there's different thicknesses. And here's the trick of the day. You're going to thank me later. To get thick watercolor paper through your printer, if it starts getting stuck, right, it doesn't grab it. Curl up. I kid you not. Curl up the bottom like 1/4 of an inch of the paper. Just fold it up a little bit, and it will catch it. I don't know, totally random, but tip of the day.
What kind of print there? What kind of ink?
I'm using an Epson EcoTank printer. It's not crazy fancy. The ink comes in big bottles. It's awesome. Because I just need the sketch. And the other thing I can do, because when I draw it in Procreate, it's very dark. So I'll turn the transparency down. And then I get this lighter sketch on here, which is enough. You know, it's like taking kneaded eraser to your sketch. Say again?
So when you paint on top of it, it doesn't bleed?
Not if it's really light. If it's really dark and heavy and there's too much ink, it can. But I've learned to keep the pencil line light.
Very light.
And if it's still too dark, I'll do a little transparency and lower it, which, let me show you this. Okay, so so let's say I want to print this flower, right? But it's like, oh, that line's way too dark. Couple ways to do it, but I would draw it this way to begin with. Let me turn this off. This one, I'm gonna add a new layer. Okay. So, sketching. Okay, there's sketching. I'll use a 6B just so you can see it, but this slider over here is opacity. So I'm drawing much lighter than I was. And I can lower it. So you can do that. You can draw with a more transparent pencil to begin with. So the other way to go is the opposite of this, which this is drawing in Procreate and printing it out to paper so I can paint it. Well, what if I want to take my painting and do something on top of it in Procreate? That's the other way around, right? So, hang on, let me get my brain going. Okay, so there's that. So this is the watercolor first, and then I did these wacky lines on top. in Procreate. So you can go either way.
So you can say, you can, and, oh, that's right, you go to the gallery and get the photo.
So how do I get this into, right?
Yeah.
Phone.
Okay.
You don't need a scanner. Scanners are great and it'll be perfect, but this is good enough. So there's a couple things about your phone. I don't know if everybody knows this, but when you're in your photo camera, you know, I want to get it lined up and straight. Did you ever notice the crosses in the center of the camera? That's alignment. It's roll and tilt. So if you line up those two X's, you're straight on, you're parallel. So a lot of people don't know that, and then they catch it at an angle, and then it's not the same what they wanted. And so really look at your phone screen, get the yellow cross and the white cross right on top of each other, and then you know you're flat, right? I usually go outside to do it, just to get brighter, flatter light. The other thing, if you see on your phone in the camera app again, I don't have it right here, but there's a little, sometimes there's like a little sunshine and a line. That's brightness as you take the picture. So if you can get your, you know, fat finger on that little tiny icon and slide it up or down, you can adjust the brightness as you take the picture. And I usually I find it works better if I brighten it a little bit. You can always brighten it later, but I find, and I'll usually take more than one photo of whatever it is, just so I can see. But just so you know, that little sunshine thing is a brightness slider. So if you're inside, it's looking a little dark, you know, try brighten it a little bit. So anyway, so that's the other way around. So once I have this, I take a picture of it. Where is it? In my photo library, right? So how do I get into Procreate? You go to the wrench. Okay. And this is how we're sharing it out to print, right? We're going to add. So this is putting in, this is sending out. So I'm going to add, insert a photo, second one down, right? And then, I don't know, let's pick a drawing. Boom, there it is. So it goes both ways, right? And I can scale it. And then it came in on its own layer, inserted image, right? So I want to draw on top of it. So I'm going to add a layer, or maybe I want to go below it, right, to fill it in. I'm going to go below. So I move that layer underneath the drawing. And then I'm going to draw something, and you're not going to see it. And then I'm going to fix it, and I'll show you why. Okay. I'm just got all right, I can't see it, right? It's below, it's underneath. So when you insert an image, and you, like this one, in this case, it's an outline, and I want to fill it in, and I want to fill it in underneath the line, right? But I can't see through it. So if you turn your blend mode, another concept of the way this is on top of this, it digitally, it can change. So this is opaque on top of this, and I can't see through it. Digitally, you can change the way these composite by using a blend mode. So see that N on the layer of the drawing? If I change it to multiply, I can see through it. So I could go through the math of what that means, but basically wherever it's black, which is 0, right? 0 color, it multiplies below. So 0 times anything is black. So no matter what, the black lines are going to stay black. And then I draw on the layer below it, right? Layer 7. So does that help anybody? Okay, and that's probably enough for today. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I have to tell you, I know nothing about doing anything on the iPad.
Okay,
That was very clear to me. I mean,
Okay.
conceptually.
great.
So
All right.
Thank you for that.
You're very welcome.
It sounds like a lot of people are already into this. The young people are definitely into it.
Yay.
Apparently, was-
They probably know more than I do, so, you know,
Jordan is into it, so- Yeah.
yeah. Good. Well, I love it. And if anybody wants to ask questions or wants to get geeky with me, let me know.
What I was thinking is, I'm sure a workshop for the people that know kind of how to do it already
Mhm.
might be appropriate at some future meeting.
Or even,
To do another one?
even having Linda do work a real workshop where we can just go in and focus on Procreate, and create their images there.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be fun. Yeah, I'd like to do it. So I love sharing this. So I think it's amazing. It's magic as far as I'm concerned. So, all right. Welcome.